Okay guys, I am such an idiot. I just made a cane video and I cut and deleted the part of the video that I showed you how to get the colors I got for it. And all of a sudden the video started at when my Skinner blends were done. I'm so upset with myself because I had already done it and I don't redo these multiple times. So I'm kind of backtracking and I'm very sorry for that. So I made a couple colors of gray out of, so now I can show you the finished cane. This is the finished cane. Okay, and my coworker is asking me for a black and white and gray pendant, so that's what I'm making these flowers for, okay? So I was thinking in my head how to get this design, and the way I did that was I have my book. Let me find my book. Where's my book? Oh no, where's my book? Hang on, let me find my book. Okay, so I was thinking of a petal, right? And I drew out a petal here, and I was thinking that I wanted it to look 3D obviously without being 3D. So I wanted this part to look like it was rounding over, and I wanted this part to look like it was coming up from the bottom. So one was like doing this rounding over, and one part was coming out from the bottom. So like it had a fold, right? And this is how I came up with that design. And so then I thought, okay, how am I going to do this, okay? And so I kind of sketched it out. So I wanted this part to be really dark, and I wanted to fade it into my lightest color. So I drew that part. Then I wanted this part to be dark right here, and then just this line to fade out into my medium color. And that's this little part. And then the third side I wanted to go from medium to light. So I wanted this part on the edge here to look light, and then I wanted this part under here to look dark and then come out to light, if that makes sense. That was in my mind what I was thinking. So I decided to do 3 Skinner blends. I was going to do a dark to light, a dark to medium. So this blend 1 for this part was going to go from dark to light. This part, the line, was going to go from dark to medium. And this part was going to go from medium to light because I wanted these two to blend, okay? So what I did to make gray was I took all my scraps and I decided to make grays. Now these are the grays I came up with. So by mixing blues and all kinds of things, I came up with some grays. Now in the video that I had originally done, and this, even though this is a scrap, this was the flower I designed with it. This is the end cane, so obviously it doesn't look great. But this is the flower I made to go with it out of black and white. So I didn't want that other flower to be fully black and white. I thought, okay, let's do some gray. So what I did was I took some blues and some purples and some greens and mixed them up together, some yellows. And one of them was a little purpley. So what I did was, if it's a little purple, I added some green to it. And that made it a little more. So I ended up with 3 colors of gray, and now they're all mixed together. So I had a dark gray, so I had this dark one, and then I think I had this medium one, okay, and this was my light one. So I had a dark, medium, and light, and I didn't want to go from a pure black to a pure light, and really I should just kind of show you what I did. So I didn't have any pure color, really, okay? I can't believe I did this. I'm so upset with myself that I deleted that. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, because it was good. I did the whole thing, and I explained it all, and I did it all. Let me just roll these out. Okay? So, this is my dark. And they're all mixed up now, so I'm sorry for that. And there is one part that's darker on here. So bear with me, these colors are not exactly, because now they're really scrap. So I had a dark, a medium, and a light. Let me get them ready. So here are my 3 colors, right? Roughly. This is not exactly as I did, but it happens, I guess. I'm so upset with myself. I'm sorry. So I have 3 Skinner blends. 1 for this portion is dark to light, all 3 colors. The second one for the line in the middle is dark to medium. The third one for this side is medium to light, okay? So I had 3 colors here, right? And so the first one is going to be dark to light, okay, the outer side of the petal. So all I did was make a Skinner blend, and this time I did do triangles. So I made a triangle. Let me just straighten off this end, okay, and I flipped it on itself. If you don't know how to do Skinner blends, there are tons of videos, so check them out, okay? This one, all I did was cut straight, And I didn't want it crazy thick, so I think I actually made this a little thinner. So I stacked it. I think I made it roughly like something like that. And then stuck that here. Okay. And then this is my light, and obviously I would have had it bigger. And I put this one on here, and I stuck this one here. Okay, so I had 3 Skinner blends, or 3 colors. So that's Skinner blend 1, dark to light. Okay. Skinner blend 2, because it's this line, and I wanted this line, and then I blended that. Okay. Skinner blend 2, because I wanted the line a little darker than my darkest color, what I did was I took a little black. Okay, so that one, Skinner blend 2, is dark to medium. Okay, and if you want to write this down, it might help writing the 3 colors down, or the 3 different Skinner blends. So 1 is dark to light, 2 is dark to medium, 3 is medium to light. Okay, so on the second one, it's going to be dark to medium. So this would have been a triangle. I'm sorry I cut it. This would be a triangle normally. Hang on, make it a triangle. Okay. Roughly a triangle. Perfect. Okay, so I flipped it like this. Okay, so then we have that. But what I did, because I didn't want this to be the same tone as the other dark, I added a little bit of black on the edge here and then blended it. So this turned out slightly darker than the rest. Not a lot of black, just a little bit of black, okay? Right there. And then I did my Skinner blend. That's 2. That's number 2. Dark to medium. That will be the middle line, okay? And then the other part was medium to light. Skinner blend 3 was medium to light. So all I did, I got rid of the dark, and I went medium to light. And on the light one, sorry, that's kind of looking weird, but just chop that off anyways. Now on this one, I put a little light on it. Wow, why do these look so funny? Hang on, it looks so funny. I can't even show you where to put the light. So I did dark, or medium, sorry, medium to light. And then on this one, and again, this is all scrap clay, okay, I added, why do I keep looking funny? Here we go. Oh God, I was like, in my mind, like, why does this look weird? Okay, so I added this, a little bit of white, even less of the white than I did with the black. So let me just grab some white for you so I can actually show you what I did. I took a little bit of white, just a little bit, okay, rolled it out, and I put it here, okay, so that edge was a little lighter. Just a little bit lighter, okay? And those are the 3 Skinner blends. And then when I have the Skinner blends done, that's where the video will start in. Unfortunately, it happens. And again, this is all scrap clay. So if you have a little more purpley, if your scrap clay is mixing up to be a little more purpley, add a little like green to it, you know. There's different tones of gray, and there's different tones of actual black. You can have more of like a blue black. You can have more of a green black. Same with grays. They can be on a purpley end. They can be on a black end. You know, so I didn't use much true color. These are all scrap clays, and that's how I made this. And then again, I can show you now because I've already done the other part of the video. This is what we want. So I added that little strip of black was right there. I just wanted it to be a hair darker, and then the edge I added a little strip of white. Okay, and now we'll cut to the when I have my Skinner blends done. I'm sorry. Here are my 3 Skinner blends, and I'm going to put them on some paper because they're really sticky and leach them a little bit. Plus, I'm running out of memory on my phone, so I got to upload some videos tomorrow. So this is dark to light, the Skinner Blend 1. Skinner Blend 2 is dark to medium. This is the one we put the little black strip on the end. And Skinner Blend 3 is medium to light. So I want them to kind of feed off of each other. So I want this to match this. This I want contrast right here, okay? But I want this to blend into this when I put it together. The next thing we'll need to do is section these, stack them, and make a long strip. But again, I think I'm going to put them on paper for tonight and let them leach some oil out because they're crazy sticky, especially after I've been working them. And then tomorrow, after I've uploaded a video or two, and I have more memory, we'll make this flower. Okay, so I'm trying to do this using a minimum amount of video time as possible. I've already taken one Skinner Blend and folded it, and I'm going from dark to light. This is the second one, so this one goes to dark to medium, so it's not much difference there. This is the third blend, medium to light, and I have this out on my third setting so far, so I'm going to take it down to my thinnest workable setting that I can deal with tonight with it this humid. We'll see. This one's pretty sticky, or they're all pretty sticky. Just rolling and then pulling it away from my roller so it doesn't fold on itself. This is down to a 5 right now, and that's just probably as thin I'm going to get it. And we're going to fan fold each one of these Skinner Blends just like we normally. Actually, I want to try to maybe take it down to a 6. I don't think I'll get it to a 7. Let me try a 6. It'd be great if I could get it to a 9, but it's just too hot. It's too humid here. So I'm just rolling it through, and whatever lands on my base, I'm pulling it away from the base so it doesn't fold up. You can stop rolling for a second. Okay. When you fan fold, it doesn't matter what color you start with because you're going to have one color on one side and one color on the other side. Oh, come on. It's weird with a camera in my way and a really long strip like this. Makes it really, really challenging to do this. So we're just going to fan fold each one of these Skinner Blends like we would normally do. And I'll show you this one. Ooh. Where'd that come from? Oh, I think I bumped my light cord and it. Some dust came down. That's what happens when you work in the basement. And it's unfinished, so it's just concrete walls and the boards looking up to that support the floor up above. Eventually we'll finish our basement, but as of now, concrete floors, concrete walls, below ground. I do have a carpet in my little area just because for the dogs to lay on, but and then in the winter if I get up without my slippers on, it's not so cold, or if I have my feet on the floor. Okay, so we're going to do this with each one of these blocks. So this is the third color, and I have a piece of paper that I've had them on right now with the numbers on them. But once I fan fold them to get them into smaller blocks, until I actually put them together, I'll just put them in order 1, 2, and 3. Because they are all very similar colors. This is just going to be light shade differences with this. And I may modify, we'll see. Once I get them all next to each other, I may add a little strip here or there of a dark on the end, or a light. Okay, so here's this third one. And this one goes from medium to light. I'm going to set it up like that. So this one goes from dark to medium. This one goes from medium to light. Just kind of squishing it down. So there we go. And then I'll do the same thing with the first one. Dark, medium, light. This one's the full blend. I'll do the same thing with this one and fan fold it. And then we'll have all three ready to go. Maybe I should show you because I didn't show you, and just in case you haven't watched any of my videos. I just assume you have, but for the people who haven't, you have your Skinner blend. I'm going to cut it into strips to make it a long, thin strip. So I just put the cut end to the cut end, and the light on top of the light, and the dark on top of the dark. It's easier to see if you have the colors lined up when you're looking at the cut end. You can measure perfectly and get these into perfectly even strips, but you don't have to either. And that little piece, what I'm going to do is just fold it over. It'll be more accurate to keep it where it is. You could cut it off, but might as well use it, right? Okay, so then you need to stretch it out a little bit because it's a little too thin to run, or thick to run through your machine. Give it a little roll. And then this is where I was at. And then you take it through your pasta machine. I have to go down through each setting on my machine because if I go right from a 0 to a whatever, tonight I think I could use a 6 or a 7, it will eat my clay alive and it will shred it right up. So I jump on my machine, I can jump 2 settings at a time. I know other people with the same exact machine, and they can do go right down. Just my machine can't. So you have to kind of learn your machine. I'm going to angle over. Yes, I have, my desk is a mess, but I'm going to angle over and show you what I've been doing to keep it from sticking to itself down here. So, because I don't have a motor, so I'm going to jump 2 settings. Okay, I'm going to put it in, and this is what I do. I roll it until it gets down there, and then I pull it out. Roll it. And I don't want to let it start folding. Pull it out. Roll it. Pull it out. And that way it won't, hopefully it won't stick to itself very much, because if you let it pile up down there, it may stick quite a bit. And I jumped right to a 7, but it's going to be too much. Yep. I'm doing it with the opposite hand. Roll it, pull it out. Roll it, pull it out. Roll it, pull it out. And with the nice pasta machines, you can have your clay touch the side and it's not a big deal. On my cheap pasta machine that I got, there was a gap between my roller and the edge, and I saw some people would butt their clay right up against the edge, and I was like, why does this not work for me? And it's because I had a cheap machine. So definitely invest in your machine. It's definitely worth it, because my $30, $40 machine broke in 2 months. So it was worth paying the extra money, because I bet this machine's going to last for a while. And then we're going to fan fold this one the same exact way as we just did. And then we'll have all 3 colors. You know, if you can get it thinner, you'll get a nicer gradual blend. But also, if you try to go too thin and it's going to stick to itself, you may ruin it. So it's kind of a toss-up between, can I do it, can I not do it? And it becomes harder to use. In the winter, I can go a lot thinner than this. But in the summer, I don't really seem like I can. At least depending on the day. And today it hasn't been crazy hot. It's now like 9 p.m. at night. It's not super hot, but it's been humid, humid, humid. Like you can feel the wetness in the air. It's been thick. And that's kind of, everything's moist, you know, everything feels moist. And that's kind of the problem I'm having, not actually that it's crazy hot. I mean, it was probably in the high 70s today, 78-ish, I would say. Which is warm, definitely warmer than our winters when it's like negative 15 to 20 most of the time. So then I'm just going to squish this one down to around the same size as those 2. There is more clay in here than the other 2. Yeah. Which is fine. We can get rid of some too later. So then this one, so we have, this is supposed to go this way. So dark to light here, all three colors, dark, medium, light. This one has dark and medium. This one has medium and light, okay? And those are our colors there. And what we'll get is a contrast between the petal right there. I was hoping it was light enough, and it does look light enough. This, I just want it to blend seamlessly on that side of the petal. So over here, I want this piece, which is this piece, to end really lightly, and then I'll make this black, which is this end here. I want a nice dark line, but then I want it to gradually come out. So if you're thinking the petal, that part of the petal is coming over, you know, and this part of the petal is coming up and out. That's what I'm trying to picture in my head, and that's kind of how I have to picture when I oil paint and stuff too. So that's what we have, and I think all the colors, I'm okay with them. If your dark is not quite, if it doesn't have enough contrast between these two, add a little strip. Let me get it. Let me do it. Might as well do it just in case it happens to you. Hang on. So this is a little bit of my dark that I had left. And I'm going to add a little black to that to darken it up. So if the contrast isn't deep enough, or enough, could add a little black. I don't think I'll need tons because it's just a small amount. Blend this up. Until it's a nice blend, and then we'll just add a little bit of it on the end. Now remember on this one I added that little line of black on the end of the Skinner blend. So it is darker than my dark was. So I have this excess dark left over, so I added some black in it, but I could potentially need to add more black because I had that little line of black. So I think I still need to add a tiny bit more black in there. But I don't want like a huge, I don't want it to be super black. I just want to know that there's a contrast line. I want that line in the middle of the petal, essentially, without making a black line, if that makes sense. I want a dark line, not a black line. So I don't want to add a strip of black, like some people cut the petal in half and they add a strip of black, or a strip of a color to make that vein kind of in the middle of your petal. I don't want to do that. I want this to be a nice, smooth looking petal. If it turns out the way I planned. I mean, it totally may not. It may not. This is going to be like a nice, smooth looking petal is what my intent is. I don't want it to be a crazy bold one like the other black one I just made, because these are going to go on the same pieces. So I'm going to roll this out into my thin setting as well. And I'm going to just fan fold this up so it kind of matches. You don't really need to. You could just cut a square of it. I'm going to stick that on the dark end. So it's just a little darker than the dark. So if you're not getting enough contrast, you can do this. Let's see. So it's just fairly slightly darker than my dark that I already had there. I don't know if you can see the difference. But I don't want to add a black strip. I'm just going to lay that on, and you could just have a chunk of it. If you're just doing regular colors, you could just do a block of it and put it on there. That, like I did with my, I think I'm going to upload it and call it a spiky flower. My spiky flower. This one I'm going to call the shaded flower, because it's just shades of a color. You know, you're just adding different tones. And this is gray, so shades of gray. But you can add any colors you want. There we go. So that's a nice contrast there between that color and that color. And those should be the same color. Okay, so there's our 3 blends. And then we'll be ready to go to build our flower. It seemed to stop tonight. I keep coming back to it. I hope I have enough memory to make the petal, but if it cuts out, we'll deal with it. Okay, so again, we're designing a petal like this. We're going to have 3 parts, blend 1, blend 2, blend 3. Blend 2 is just a little strip. So first I want to get this guy thinner because this is the little strip one. So, and it's going to go from dark to light, so I need to flatten it where the dark's on one side and the light's on the other. And I just need to get it nice and thin because I want a nice thin strip. This way it doesn't really matter yet because I haven't. I just want it thin like this. God, I hope that strip is dark enough. I think I'm going to add another little bit of dark. I just have a feeling, I don't want it to be crazy dark, but I have a feeling I need it to be a little bit bolder. Well, you know what, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with what I have. Because if I change it, go with your instincts. I'll go with my first instinct. And I see I have some air bubbles in there, so I can just slice those out just by slicing it across. Try to get into the pocket of air. Sometimes that's hard to get into the pocket. Okay, so there's going to be our center line. Okay. And then, so this part is going to be the outer part of the petal, okay? So all we're going to do is start curving this a little bit. And you can use a skinny roller, a paintbrush, something to help you curve it if you want. I had this. Let me find it. Hang on. So I'm going to use this thing because this is the same side all the way down. I'm going to kind of get this to curve a little bit because I want the... So I want the center to kind of come in like this. This part will be kind of pointed. So I'm trying to look at my drawing here of what I want for the petal, right? And this is going to be this side. So the bottom is kind of pointed. Actually, I don't want this, okay? I want the black to kind of, or the dark to kind of come up because I want this whole edge shaded, so I'm just pulling the dark up. Okay, like that. And then this needs to be nice and even. Like a nice round curve, but then up here, so this piece will go here, from about here down, but this part needs to meet with the other part, so I'll deal with that in a second. And they might be 2 different heights, but I can cut off any excess in a second. And again, it's just going to be gray clay that I'll have for, you know, this was all scrap clay to begin with, except for a little bit of black and a little bit of white. So now I want to add this in. So I'm going to cut a piece of this off. It's hard to work because I have the cord coming out of my camera or out of my phone, and it's making everything a little awkward. And my thought is, do I want to taper the point? Maybe I'll taper the point, so I'll just pinch the end a little bit. And that way it tapers a little bit to the edge of the petal. And I also want to cut these straight. Now these are just fine details that I'm adding in here that I hope will make a decent difference. And I only want it from like here. Now it's a little narrow, so I'm going to pull it a little wider. I want it to fit like here down to the tip of the petal. All the way to the tip. And I'll cut that off. And again, the darkest side is sitting on the light, okay? Not the lightest side. So the darkest, I know it's a very thin sheet, but the darkest side of that one is sitting on the lightest side of that one, of this one. So there's a contrast between these two. Now, with the same shade on the outside of the center strip, not the light, we're going to do the medium, and we're going to build it around that. So again, this point needs to come to a point. This needs to come to a point here. And the light I want to wrap around. And this is all going to fit in here, but this side, because it's a little taller, like this way, I need to make it a little longer. The dogs might bark because my fiance is doing something upstairs. And I'm going to force this around here. Okay, like that. Oops. Now we need to pull these two outsides in together. Okay, so I'm pulling the outsides in. I'm not pinching at all, just the outsides. I'm going to make them touch because I want the dark and the light to meet. You see what we're doing? What we're creating here? So we're creating a petal with 3 tones that's going to be very smoothly combined. Okay. Now we have to begin reducing this, and we can get our petal shape more defined later because now it's all together, but now we have to cut petals out of this. Okay, so the way we can do this is either reduce it as a circle, or we can just pinch in. But maybe I'll do it as a circle for now. It'll be easier. And I think I want 5, well, there'll be 5 or 6. I don't really know what. I just want to get this round for a second. And then we'll begin reducing it like we normally do. So we're going to start in the middle with our pointer, or middle, whatever is more comfortable. Oh, I see an air bubble. I should get that out now. Okay. So, and pinch. Just lightly tap, 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 tap. Now this is going to move quickly because it's really, really soft. Once you get the hourglass figure, then you're going to work up to the end. And you will get some waste. It's going to happen no matter what you do. You can use the end caps. Some people like those cane reducing caps. I don't have them, so again, this is going to be just gray waste that I can use later. And it was already waste to begin with. 90% of it was. And then I give it a quick roll once I get up to the end. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that until I can cut probably 6 petals, because the other one I just made that I'm planning on using in the same piece, this one here is 5 petals, so I'll probably do this one as 6. And if you haven't seen my book before, this is my Polymer Clay Creations book, and this is where I keep my ideas. So like this is the Flip It flower, and I just take the end cane, so they're not always perfect, but I don't need them to be perfect. And that way I can kind of remember my instructions of what I did, how I would modify it, you know, and I can decide later. I can, you know, when I'm making projects, I can be like, oh, yeah, that's what I need in this project. So, you know, I also have ideas in here, like this one I didn't really like, so I gotta play with this idea. This is an idea here. These are just ideas. You know, so I have different modifications and different things. So this is my book. So this is the flower I'm going to be using in this pendant. These are the end canes. So this one's going to go with it, so I'll probably make this one 6 petals since that one's 5. So I'm just going to keep reducing this until I can cut 6 out of it. Okay, so now it's long enough to cut 6 out of. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll probably wait tomorrow to backfill this because it's a little warm. That one's going to be a little bit short. Yep, that one's a little bit short. Oops. It's because my camera's in my face. So I'm going to kind of mush it back together. Jackson! My camera's where my head should be. If it was a little short, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I didn't pick it up, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Camera's way in my way now. 6. Okay. Let's see what we got. What did I want it to do? Let me get my drawing back. So it actually goes this way. Okay. And if we shape it, this side will be pinched because I can see that dark line. So this side will be pinched. And I can see the dark line here on the bottom where I'm supposed to be pinching. Okay, and then we'll shape them. I'll shape them all tonight, but I won't backfill until tomorrow. Because if I backfill right now and then reduce, my translucent's stiffer than this, and it's going to move. This is going to move way faster. So pretty much I'm just going to pinch in where that black line is, wherever you want the tip of your petal. This part I'm going to round just by keeping these 2 fingers here, my pointers, and then just pushing in to kind of butt that edge up. And when you're making a flower, as I've said before, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, you want to look fully down through it. If you see an area where there's a bulge, or if here you see an area and it's flat like that, when you get to slicing that part of the cane, this part might be pointy, but this part right here won't be. So you do have to look all the way down and make sure it's fully even all the way up your piece. Otherwise, your slices are going to look different in different areas, which is fine, but I've seen people cut flowers and then their flower looks really square if their cane was square, and that's because they didn't shape their petal all the way up through. You know, so definitely look at it from different angles and make sure they're all roughly the same size all the way down through to where you're happy. Kind of got a little long, so I'm just pinching it in there. So there's one. And then this one, you see that the lines here, this one's a little skewed, so I'm just going to straighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to pinch it around it. I'm going to pinch along my dark line, because that's going towards the tip of my flower, or the inside, where the center would be. Again, I'm going to pinch along that, and I keep pushing in because it'll tend to get wider at the bottom there. Okay, and then this side to round it a little bit more. Just going to push the edges in. You can roll them a little bit like that. I want to make this a little skinnier. Flip it and do it from the other way. And just make sure you're happy all the way around. And then with this flower, it's going to be important to make sure the light is on the right side of that dark strip, so it would actually go this way. I want them all facing it. I want that dark strip to go on. This is the distorted end, so I want that dark strip to go around facing that way, not like that where I have the light on the dark side. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So right here the light is on, the dark is over here. You see that dark strip? And the light is over there. On this one, the light is over here and the dark strip's over there. So I need to flip it because I want it to match. So those two match. Okay? So I'm going to keep doing them all. You also want to make sure they're roughly the same height. And if it's too short, just stretch it out. If it's too tall, just push it down. And don't put them together because they're really sticky at this point, usually, when you get to this point of your cane. And again, find your black line and just pinch down it and do the same thing over and over and over until you have all 6 done. And I will be back when I'm done that. Okay, so here it is. Here's all 6 petals. I believe I have all the lines going in one direction. They're all, the black lines all going that way. The other thing is I need to make a center if I want a center. So I don't know if I want a center or if I want to just maybe just a dinky thing in the center. I don't know. God, they're so sticky. I don't know, maybe we take this rest of this Skinner blend. This was that stripe that we put down in the middle, and maybe I'll just run it through my machine a little thinner. And we'll jelly roll it. Why not, right? I don't really take a lot of time on my centers, as you've probably all noticed. Some people like make these really elaborate centers. They end up getting so small you can't even really, to me, see it. So why take, you know, a day making it, at least for my type of work. I mean, I'm not, like someone made a cane the other day that's like huge. I think she said it was like 10 inches by something, and that's amazing to do that. And I asked, what are you going to use that for? And she's going to make bathroom sets and kitchen sets and put it on creamer containers and sugar containers and salt and pepper, and that's great, but I don't do that. So that's awesome. All the power to you. But I don't make those, so my centers don't show up. If you're making a 10-inch flower, your center will probably show. This little 1-inch flower that I'm going to reduce down to the size of the quarter, down to a penny size, isn't really going to matter on how fancy your center is. So I got to get some stuff out of my way here first, because I can't even roll anything. So this one's going to need to be pretty small. When I put those together, I could see that it needs to be fairly small. So I just jelly rolled this, which you may be able to, let me cut the end and see if it was large, if you'd have a pattern in here. Yeah, you'd have a little swirl. But this is going to get so small that you're really not even going to see it when it's reduced. So I'm trying to get a piece. I'm not great at rolling everything evenly, so I'm trying to get a piece that's fairly even. That's even to about, I need to get the same height though, about there maybe. I mean, you can't even. You gotta have some pretty good eyesight. And then we'll put that on one of these. What I usually do, just set it on the tip of one. And that will be my center. And then tomorrow night after work, I will begin backfilling this with translucent so we can layer all of it on top of each other in a piece. Like that. Now you can hear my dog chewing the bone. That is what I have for a design. So like I said, it's going to be called my shaded flower because it's just shades of gray or shades of blue or shades of purple, whatever shades you do. It's not going to be anything very definitive as far as like other flowers I've done. The inside looks way different. This one's not going to be like that. This one's going to be very subtle. So anyways, we will finish this tomorrow with backfilling. Okay, so now I've put the flower all together and I've checked it. Hang on, you got fingerprints, so it might be hard for you to see. And I've checked it, and it goes, I'm looking at the light color and then the black line or the dark line, so it goes white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. So all the black lines are going in the same direction. And I've put it all together to make sure it'll fit around my center, and I'm happy with that. And now we have to begin backfilling. So I'm going to backfill this, a couple of them, and then I'll show you what I did just so I can play and see what way I feel like is the best way to backfill this. Whatever way you'd love to do it, go for it. I hate backfilling. I'm not crazy great at it. Some of my flowers come out a little distorted. Recently I just had one come out with petal shapes. In my, let's see, what one in my book? This one. If you look really close, you see the tips of the petals came out a little. This is the end cane, so, and so is this one. So it is a little distorted anyways because it's the end cane. But, a little distorted there. So I'm going to play with this one. I mean, no one's ever perfect, so it's just kind of the way it is. Oh, and I took this half a flower that I did, this big half a flower. Let me show it to you. It's super cool. So I reduced it down, and because like I said, initially when I made that flower, I thought I could get away with making half a flower and putting it on a pendant, but I couldn't. But I reduced it down and pulled the corners down, and now it kind of looks like a side view of a daisy to me. So if you ended up making this one, maybe I can post a quick video of how I reduced it like this. This side's still a little distorted, but I didn't want to cut it all off. But I think that looks pretty cool, huh? So if you ended up making this one, we can get that one to look like this one. If you want me to make a video, just let me know either on YouTube or on my Facebook page, and I can show you how to reduce it down. But anyway, so I'm going to backfill this. I'll be back once I figure out the best way I think I'm going to backfill it, and then I'll show you. Okay, so we're going to make a sausage. I did one of them already. And I like to do each one to the same point, and that way I'm not pushing too much on one petal, and then these, they're not supported, I'm not distorting them. So get each one to the same point. So basically I'm rolling out a sausage about to the height that I think will fit from the edge to the tip of my petals if I can help it. Sometimes I estimate wrong and I gotta put in strips, but if you can help it, that's a piece I already did, but I wanted to show you. Okay, then we're gonna take our 2 fingers and make a triangle tip, and we're gonna push down along the sausage. And I am using white translucent on this one, but as you will see in the video I'm going to post right before this, I did a test on the translucents I use. So generally I use white translucent, and initially I thought it was really different, and maybe I should test a bulk ball of it too, the white translucent compared to the regular translucent. But when I tested them on settings 6, 7, and 8 on my pasta machine, and check that video out because I got Pardo, really, which is what initiated that video, is seeing how translucent the Pardo was, because I've heard it was really translucent. The Pardo is the most clear of every one. But the white translucent, I ordered a block the other day and they accidentally sent me regular translucent. And I don't want to deal with sending it back, so I'm just going to use it, and I wanted to see really the difference. And check this out. White translucent, Primo. These are the same. Very, very similar on setting 7 on my atlas. Let's see. White translucent, Primo. Setting 6. Very, very similar. on setting 8, Primo, and white translucent. Again, very, very similar. So, and then this is the Pardo. The Pardo is really, really clear. Pardo. Pardo. So, then the yellow ones are Kato. So, I'm really, if you got translucent, it's easier to find translucent. You can get the regular Primo translucent. I cannot get any of them in the store. So if I order them, I generally order white translucent. Like I said, the company accidentally sent me the wrong one. And I emailed her to let her know, but I said I'm going to keep it because then neither of us have to pay for shipping and no one's losing money because it was an Etsy shop and I don't want anybody to lose money on shipping. Usually they're not big companies. I mean, if it was Amazon, I'm not worried about Amazon losing money. But a little Etsy shop, you know, someone's going to be losing money somewhere. So I'm just going to keep it and use it. But anyway, so we're making a triangle here. There's a fruit fly in here and it's bugging me. So then just cut your end off and check and see what it looks like. You know? My flower and set it in there. It looks like it needs to be a little skinnier at the tip. So what I'm then going to do is pull up and make this point. I'm going to pull up and make this point skinnier. And try to make it, when you're looking from the side, try to make it all even, if you can help it. Don't make one part up like that. You know what I mean? Try to make it all even. And if you get one up too high, just push back down again. So pull everything up then. Sorry, my nose is running. Allergies. And if you can get a solid triangle, that is the best way, because then you can, it's ideal. But sometimes I can't. The next thing I'm going to do, because my petals are, it's hard to explain, my petals are rounded, but they're not this much of a curve, so I'm just going to pinch these guys out a little bit so they feather out around it. And actually, I think what I did on my last one is I pinched the bottom towards the table, straight down. Let me just do a little section, and then I feathered them out a little bit by stretching them out, so it was a little thinner so I could play with it and wrap it around my. Okay, so let's check this piece on one of these. Okay, it's fitting down in there, but I'd really have to squish it to get it to touch my petals all the way. You see that? It's sitting up a little bit, so then I'm going to take that part and just push down towards the table again, just to smush it down a little bit. But it should stay nice and skinny. That point should still stay nice and skinny. I'm just pushing it against the table. See? And then set it in there. And then check your other side too, because the other side doesn't always set down in there right. Now this one's kind of falling apart a little bit, but that's okay. And then I'm going to cut it off so I'm not dealing with this big long length. Okay, my petal's kind of moving, which is why I only do one petal at a time, because these ones will tend to want to fall apart and separate, and so just do one at a time, because if you, or just do everything that you do to one, do them all together, and don't play with it too much until there's something in between one, because if I start playing with this one and get this fully beautifully placked, I may push my petals apart, you know? So just kind of get it set in there, make sure it's going to fit, and then move on to the next one. I'm not super smoothing these down yet. I'm going to wait until the other ones have support before I start really kind of mushing them together, okay? I've showed other videos where if you want to keep your petals separate, how to do that. This one I want them touching, so I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to continue doing this all the way around, and then I'll be back. Guess what? I just spilled my cup of tea everywhere. Gotta love that. I've already showered. I'm ready for bed. It's like 10:40 p.m. and I just spilled my cup of tea. Luckily, I'm in the basement and I'm on concrete, except for my old rug that I use below me, and it's an old rug, so I'm not overly worried. And tea's mostly water anyway, so anyways. So now I have all of these in, and now what I want to do is, now that it's supported, I can gently kind of smush the edges down, because all of them have something in between them. So I'm not really going to change the petal shape too much by doing this. You can hear my dog trying to lick it up out of the carpet. It's just sleepy time tea, spearmint tea with a little cream, tiny little bit of sugar, and he's like on that stuff. He was like over here. I even broke my teacup. I hit the concrete. I broke it. Damn it. Okay. So now I have a piece of translucent rolled out. I'm just making sure everything's roughly the same height. Now usually I stick sausages in here, and I think the other day when I did that, because it's already up to the top of my petal, I think the other day when I did that, that's what caused, now I don't know this for sure, we're going to figure this out in a second, that's what caused this little indent in them. I think it was that sausage. Oh, and I did tie-dye with the kids, my nieces and nephews today, so it's all over my hand. I tried scrubbing out the shower. I hope my patients aren't like, oh, that girl's got dirty fingers tomorrow. I should have worn gloves. So I think those little sausages on the ends here is what caused that. So I'm hoping if I don't do it, maybe it will be better, because they're already up to the top of my petals. So anyways, so I have a layer rolled out. This is on a number 2, but sometimes I do 0. It just depends how much I have out and conditioned. So I had to go to a number 2 because I didn't have enough out and conditioned to go to do a 0. And I was conditioning this when I dropped it when my tea spilled. So I got something on it. So now we're going to cut it roughly. Let me do this size because it's just barely enough. Roughly to the width. And I don't get over picky about this. Plus my camera's in my way, so I can't really see anything I'm doing. That's what's hard about videoing, is normally I'd lean over and see this, but right where it is where my head should be. Unless I get up on my chair and kneel, I can't really see that. Because it's hard, because you want to make sure you're still in camera's view, so I have this stand that can move, so I have the camera literally, it's probably 4 inches away from my face, but like 6 inches from the table, so I can make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, and then we're going to lay this on. See if I have enough here. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm okay with that. And then what I could do is just take a little piece. If you're really bothered by that, jam that in there. Oops. Jam a little piece in there. But I'm even thinking that doesn't need to be done, but whatever. And then we're ready to reduce. So I'm just going to kind of make sure it's all around it nice. And the way we reduce a circle, the way I always reduce a circle, I don't roll. I find you get way too much distortion that way, okay? And we're going to start in the middle. The reason why I got a little air bubble right here. Slice that out. Okay. The reason why we start in the middle is to push any air from the center of the cane out the ends, out the spots through the cracks on the ends, okay? So we're going to start in the middle, either your pointer and your thumb or your middle and your thumb, and you're going to do light pressure and keep turning. You do not want to put too much pressure. This is not a point to be muscle man. If you put too much pressure on one spot and go, you're going to squish that pedal in, and if you don't do it every time to every single one evenly, you're going to distort a pedal. So the best way is just lightly tap it. And once it starts moving, it's pretty easy. So we're just going in the middle here. And it gets easier when it gets a little smaller too. Just tap, 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 tap. Keep going around in the middle until you get an indented middle, and that's not quite ready yet, so I'm going to keep doing that. And again, my arms are kind of outstretched, so it's also kind of weird because I have to be under the camera, so and over the table. Normally I'd be doing this over my lap, so my arms are kind of like really out there. Just lightly tapping. Trying to put the same amount of pressure each time. And I'm using like this part of my thumb is what I find I use the most, not actually my tips. So even though my thumb's like that, you see I'm using this part of it. And it feels like I almost got a decent indent. Okay, once you have an indent, you're going to start from that middle and work up to the end. Flip it, start from the middle, work up to the end. Okay, so we're going to go around and starting in the middle, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that it's getting about the same size, you know. And unless you use end caps, you're always going to get some distortion. It's just kind of the way it works. And it's okay. There's a lot you can do with your distorted ends. A lot. Half the time I just mix them up and make a new color. Okay, so once that's about the same size, I'm going to start in the middle, flip it, start in the middle, work up until the end. Until I'm feeling that it's roughly the same width, and you'll get the feel of it. Okay, now the other thing I do notice is that every now and then my petals will start to like swirl. Let me see if an end cane shows it, because these aren't my nice center canes. These are the ends of the canes. I don't like to cut for my book. You see how they're like doing a swirl here? That's because I keep turning in the same direction. So if you see that happen, that's like the only one I can show you, because I usually go this way. Well, if you see that start to happen, go the opposite way. Okay? I don't know what end I was working on. Just making sure. Once I get it all to about the same size, all the way across, then I just do a quick roll just to get it even. Okay? And then I'll start back in the center. Once the center gets an indent, I'll work up to the edge, flip it, work up to the other edge. And I do this every single time. I don't roll it to reduce it. I just find there's too much distortion. Now a simple Skinner blend roll or a simple bullseye cane, I don't think that will make a big deal. But if you have a pattern inside, I would say do this. Even with your triangles and stuff, you got to work down them. You know, where your squares, you got to work from the middle out. So now I have a nice indent. Work from that indent up to the edge. And Teresa Pandora, she's got nice end caps for her caning to help reduce, and she's got videos on them if you got them. Those are great to use, so feel free to use those. And once this gets moving, so I started this 2 days ago, I started the petals, but I'm going to push down on the ends just to get rid of any little distortion. It will get rid of some of my reduction, but it'll also flatten off the ends. So I started these petals about 2 days ago, and I didn't have enough memory to upload them into my camera or to keep going in my phone, so I had to pause. So right now, that was really soft, the gray was really soft, and now that I let it rest for 2 days, it's actually seeming to reduce roughly at the same rate that my translucent that I've recently been working with, because my translucent was a little stiffer, as you guys saw in that conditioning video, how to work with crumbly clay. It was a lot stiffer than my scrap gray, because this gray is all scrap. And my petals are going to start to twist, so I'm going to go in the opposite direction, which is kind of weird for me because I don't do it counterclockwise often, but I'm going to try to start doing that. Like do one clockwise, one reduction size from the middle to the end, flip it to the other end in one direction, and then the next time I'm going to go, I'll do counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise. So these two are softer and they're reducing a little faster, but whatever. We're going to get this down really small, and it won't really matter. And what's happening inside of the cane is what we're worried about, not what's happening on the end of the cane. See, it's really weird to do that. though that gray is still moving faster. I usually go this way, so I'm going to go this way. I'll do this the last time, and then I'm going to go off camera and continue doing this. That's just, I wanted to mention that if you're seeing that your petals are kind of swerving with your reducing, then try that and see if that helps to stop it. It's weird going the opposite direction, I tell you, when you're not used to doing that. I just recently was like, I should do that. But honestly, I don't mind either, because these are going to be so small, and in the project I'm going to overlap them with that black and white cane, I think, that flower that I just showed you, because one of my girlfriends at work wants a black and white pendant. You can also give it a little pull. When it gets longer, it's easier to pull. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this, and when I get it down, I usually do 3 sizes, roughly the size of a quarter, a US quarter, I'd say a nickel, and maybe a penny. A dime's a little small, maybe a penny for my 3 sizes. So anyways, if you're not sure what size to do, go larger, because you can always make it smaller if you make it too small. Some canes you could make fatter by rolling in towards your hands rather than out, but most, like, more complex canes, even like a simple flower, will be hard to make it fatter again. So just try to go larger. If you're not sure what you're going to use it for, go larger than smaller. So I'll be back when this is done. Okay, so here's roughly my largest size, and I'm really excited to cut into this. Whenever I do these, I never know what they're going to look like, because I've never made these before. So it's quite exciting for me when I cut them, and as you guys can see, I've gotten pretty excited on a few flowers. Sometimes I've been disappointed. They haven't come out as I wanted, but that's the whole point of trying new things, because then, and as I usually tell you, oh, I would have done this differently or that differently. Like in this one I just recently did, I would have cut out some black out of the stack, out of the fan fold stack. I would have cut the black out because it was just a little too much black for me on this one. Or put another color in there to blend in the Skinner blend, so done white instead of just white and black, white, gray, and black, maybe. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to cut apart. I'm just going to cut it in half, and it's probably going to smear a little bit. That's exactly what I was looking for. I still got a little air bubbles in there, but when you mush this onto your thing, that's exactly what I was looking for. Guys, I'm so happy with it. Let me just try to push those air bubbles so you can see what I'm seeing. So I was looking for it to look 3D, like the petal was wrapped around on one side. That's what I was saying. Let me try to push this air bubble smaller. So I was trying to look at on this part of the petal. This part of the petal I wanted to look like it was coming over, and then this part I wanted to look like it was coming out under. And I think I achieved that. What do you guys think? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. That's exactly what I was envisioning in my head. So I'm calling this the shades flower, or shades of gray, but the shaded flower is what I'm going to call it, the shaded flower. You could do this in purple, white. Well, yeah, you could do it in white, but just do the grays. You could do it in blue, green, whatever colors you want. It's just shades of a color. Super cool. I'm thrilled with that. Oh, I think my coworker's going to be very happy with that too. Yay! Ah! Just can't stop looking at it. And in person, everything looks so much better. God, my hands look like shit. Sorry about that. And my petals aren't too distorted. They're not very twisty. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to texture this. So next I'm going to take my next size and I'm going to reduce it down even further. I like this larger size, so I'll probably keep a good amount of it, half of it. And this one I'll reduce by doing the same thing, and it's going to move fairly quickly. Usually one time up and you're going to get like half the size. Just by tap, 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 tap. And then I'll take half of that and reduce it down even smaller. So I have my 3 sizes. Oh, I love this one. I am going to use this one again in the future for sure. Because I'm reducing this one down, obviously it's going to get longer, right? So that's why I kept the longer piece bigger, or the longer one of these I kept to save. One will have bigger ones, but I can also reduce it down later too. And I took the shorter one, and because I'm reducing it, it's going to get longer. And then I'll have a good amount of this. Work all the way up to your end, even if it's distorted. Check if there's a fat spot. That's pretty fat right there still. And just work on that fat spot. Give it a little roll, just to even out your fingerprints. And just going one time reduced it quite a bit. So now what I'll do, because I want it a little bit more, I'm just going to give it a gentle pull all the way up the length. And I'm going to do the end because the end doesn't seem to work well on the pull. Okay. And then I'll cut this. And roughly, I like this size, so I'll cut this one. Okay, so this is our first one, that's our second one. And then I'll reduce this one down a little smaller by doing the same. And I'm going to go in the opposite direction so my petals don't start to sway one way or the other. So I'll go counterclockwise this time, which is awkward. I'm not used to doing it, so it's kind of awkward for me to do that. And when they get long, they get kind of weird to hold, see? It just gets kind of weird when you're in the middle. But it moves so quickly that literally like one time, I knew that felt fatter to my fingers. Sometimes I hold it like this when it gets long. Once you get up to the end, it's fine, but when you're in the middle, both ends want to like dangle on you. Oh, I love this. I am so happy with this. And I may make, with the excess gray I have, I may make one more flower with the one that I did, that large blue one that I showed you how I was going to reduce. I may make one more flower with that design, making the sausages of the gray, because I really like that painterly look. And that's our last size. I have an old piece of paper here. Let me see if I can smooth everything off so there's not all kinds of fingerprints when I show you this finally. So I am very happy with this one. This is exactly what I pictured in my head. You know, I had to think about how I was gonna try to achieve that look. I didn't know if it was gonna work out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Usually if it doesn't, you guys don't see it, but a lot of times I do post even if they don't work out, because I think it'll help you learn and maybe not make those same mistakes. So we got 3 sizes, size 1, 2, and 3. Let me get them all the same height so it will focus. I am in love. And remember, this is my distorted and I didn't cut that. Beautiful. So that's this flower, guys, and I think we're going to use this one and this one. There's enough contrast in these 2 flowers when we layer them in the same project that I think I'll use that. So if you liked this tutorial, or if this tutorial was helpful for you in any way, it's probably going to be helpful for someone else. So if that's the case, please like and share. Share it with any of your groups. I'm okay with that. You know, always, if you can, reference back to me if you make something based off of me. That would be super helpful. So if you post it in another page based off of Katie Gordon's flower, you know, or the clay group, you know, or even post a link, that's helpful. If more people are watching, I'm hoping I'm helping more people. So that's my goal. These 2 are almost as, oh, it's because I didn't cut the end. They're not the same size, but the end is almost the same size because I didn't cut it off. So anyways, if this was helpful, it might be helpful for someone else. I usually say that. So please like, share. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below or write them on my Facebook page, and I'll try to help the best I can. Again, I haven't made this 15 times, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. But I can help anyway. You want me to, I'll try. So see what I was saying when we made the center? Some people make really elaborate centers, and on big flowers that may be okay. But on small flowers, like really, do you see any of those swirls in there? So to take the time, for me, to take the time to make really elaborate centers seems kind of crazy. Because even on this big flower I made, where'd it go? So I made that big flower, and even on that one, this center, so this is pretty big, okay? This is probably 2 inches by 1.5 inches, okay? That was the initial cane I made, and then I changed it into a full cane. But when I reduce this down, look at this. When I reduce that down, can you really see tons of detail in that center? Not much. So, and that was probably as detailed as I go for my centers, because when you reduce them down, you really don't see it. So for me to make a whole beautiful cane for a center, if I'm going to make it a small size, I find it a waste of time. If you're going to leave it a large size, that's totally a different story. Totally a different story. So what I might do is make a quick video to show you guys, just in case anybody made this half a flower. Because I usually watch the video first, and if they would have watched the video first, they would have heard me say, oops, I would have made a whole flower, because that didn't quite work out for what I was thinking in a half a pendant. It probably would have worked for earrings, but it didn't work for half a pendant. So then I made it into a full flower, but I can show you how to reduce it so it looks like a side of a daisy. And if you want this to look like a side of a daisy, just put your petals flat down, angled down more, and also make a bigger, bolder half circle. Maybe we'll make a flower like that. But I was thinking this design, this petal design, would also look cool in this shades of gray pendant I'm going to do for her. So, anyways, I'll stop talking now, and I will see you guys next time. Later.